sure your microphone is turned up. That I am on. Okay. Okay, so get that going. Yeah, and then I'll get this going. Okay, and then 3, 2, 1. Yeah. By the way, if you didn't know, that's how you sync up 2 audio clips at the same time, as it do 1 clap, and then you line up the audio where the clap
that's
is
the film technique.
Yeah, with the clipboard. I had a clipboard up in Minnesota for some reason or other. We ended up with a clipboard, and I'd write like just like silly little things, or like washing the dishes, take 4. And then I like run down to my mom and like click it, and they're like, "Oh, you're here to do the dishes?" I'm like, "Oh no, it was a joke." And they're like, "Oh, okay.
Well,
Well then load the dishwasher." Exactly. Okay. So, and you did watch? Did you watch the edited episode 3?
Yeah, I watched it.
Cool. What? So you watched? You seen the other ones too, right?
I've not watched all of them. I watched 2 and 3. I watched them out of order.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, the first one's a little boring, but that's okay. The last one, I spent a lot of time like messing around with the audio stuff and like doing an intro and everything. So it was, I mean, I spent like a whole morning just working on like the background music, the intro and the outro, like with the sliding or the like the animated text crawl as it would go across. I think I spent like a whole morning setting that up, but thankfully I've got like the formula set up now, so I think I need to like just set it up one more time and like get it where I'm like really happy with it, and then it's locked in, like that I can just copy paste.
To do.
Copy paste. But so in my behind the scenes videos, I kind of talk about a little bit about the. So first up, have you watched those as well?
No, I haven't watched behind the scenes.
Okay, so I just kind of talk about the episode and mention a couple of things that like the editing thing, and like doing all the music and stuff, which I use the music from The Force Unleashed 1, because I recently just played through the Jedi Survivor game, the newest one that they put out, and I was like, oh man. And I completed the story. I think I was talking to you as I was playing it, and then like I told you when I finished it. But like, that's been like having me go through a nostalgia phase of like I'm like playing the old Star Wars, the single player Star Wars games. So I was listening to The Force Unleashed and The Force Unleashed 2 music, and it's pretty good. So it took me a little bit to find like the original soundtrack. So it was like just the original music from those games. Is it because in those games they use a lot of the music from the saga movies as well. It threw in a whole bunch in there, and so I'm trying to find the music for it. I'm like, oh, I found an original soundtrack, like what was released as a promotion. And when the games were released, they had the CDs. I didn't get the CDs, but I found it, on YouTube. You can find pretty much anything on there. So I ended up using a clip. Like I edited the music down so it was just like the somber parts of a couple of songs that I really liked. And then when Zach's character Sylvaris pulled out the pistol, his disruptor pistol, on Rena, I swapped it up. So like as soon as like when he says that he pulls the pistol, and he's like says something like you better not do it or you better let him go or so he says something. I forget exactly what it is, but I have it a different part of that song, that piece of music, where it swells and it kind of like it's kind of dangerous. Like I think that one's like Approaching Felucia, I think is the name of it, where basically you in the game you land on Felucia and you're fighting off the natives and whatever, and there's a certain part where it's like it gets all like you're climbing through like a spider cave, and the music like starts to ramp up. So I inserted that part in there, and I thought it went really well with like the tone, because there was like one moment where like the tone really switched, and then after that, then I used another song. I think it was like something with Proxy in it, which is one of the characters, to make it so that way it wasn't like, oh, we're hearing the exact same 30-second loop of music again. So I did a different song after that, but I've just experimenting with it. So now I got to try to do it for the next one, and I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I haven't even started editing number 4 yet. But anyway, so in my behind the scenes videos, I kind of talk about stuff like that, and then also about kind of like the inner workings of how, like, what my prep is for that episode, like what I had planned for Rena's transport service with the explosion was what episode 3 was. And so it was like, so originally that character Rena was originally meant to be the guys that you get hired on for, but it ended up being Nimri with House Hirskala.
Nimri. Okay.
So it was originally supposed to be Rena, but then you guys went to House Hirskala and you were like, can we get work from you? And I'm like, oh man. Okay, I guess now I like going through my notes. I'm like, all right, where it says Rena, I'm just scratching it out and writing Nimri.
Just put it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, all right, that's fine. I can change a name. It's fine.
Because I mean, they're kind of the same thing.
And basically, so I was like, okay, this isn't too far off of what I had planned in my head, and I was just like, oh man, all right. But then I did not expect. So all right, I guess we'll start with. Before getting, because we kind of already started getting into it a little bit, we'll start with the first question. You would introduce yourself and your character, and what your character is all about. Now, this could be like your character. You can describe your character like, because we're done with the campaign, right? Or like with this campaign arc. So like if you had something that you wanted to talk about, like as your character is. I don't want to use the word finished, but like your character as we finish the arc, like if there's something that you wanted to describe your, because I think you guys leveled up a couple of times, or at least once, so they kind of gained you guys gained some abilities and whatever. But yeah, so introduce yourself and your character and what they're about.
Well, I'm Johan. My character formerly was Kibo, and currently is Aurora.
That's right.
I am an angelic being who is chaotic at times. That's really it. I mean, I'll get more into my character before we get into the questions.
So yeah, the angelic being the diaphim that was only mentioned like only one time in the entire like the whole like 9 movies, the canon movies, and like mentioned one other time in the Clone Wars. So I still haven't watched Rebels. So I don't know if they're mentioned in Rebels yet. I keep meaning to, but I keep getting distracted with work and then doing this. Are the Diaphim, are they ever mentioned in Rebels?
I don't think they're mentioned in Rebels, but I haven't watched Rebels in years, so I could just
Right.
be missing stuff. But I mean, when picking the race, I wanted it to be something unique, and then I saw
Mm-hmm.
an angel, and I was like, no one's being that.
No, that's for certain. Um, so yeah, they're mentioned one time in episode 1 where Anakin's like, "Are you an angel?" Um, and he talks about the moons of Iago, and then in the Clone Wars there is like one episode where I think it's just Anakin and Obi-Wan. They go to Iago they go there for some reason I honestly don't remember, but they get trapped on the planet because the CIS have put in a defense mechanism that's like a bunch of lasers that interweave, and it's like impossible to leave the planet. The best pilots in the galaxy have tried to leave the planet and they can't. And so then there's some like superstition behind the planet being cursed, and there's a Diaphim that's there, and it's like uh and they don't develop on it. They don't like Anakin, I think, talks to him, and it's like those are the only two interactions
I
with the
just forgot
Diaphim.
about them.
Yeah, I don't know, they just forgot about him. But I'll tell you what, your character was very interesting to balance around with the encounters and just how your character's abilities.
I mean, with me having flight all the time,
That was a big
that's
one. That was a
already,
big one.
yeah.
Um, I think in the future games that I run, if it's Star Wars or if it's D&D or if it's any other system, I don't. I mean, I would have to more carefully consider characters that naturally have flight, but I think I would still allow them.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to change the encounters around them a little bit. Maybe a bigger battlefield,
Hmm.
more terrain, like height differences and stuff like that.
Right. And so that's really hard to do on Roll20 to be like, okay, so
Yeah.
this on multiple levels, because we were like drawing lines and stuff to be like, okay, like almost like what is it called? Like like a satellite map where it's got the lines to show the grade of a mountain and whatever, or the hills. Kind of trying to do one of those on
Yeah.
Roll20. It ain't pretty, but uh, it definitely offered a unique setup, that's for sure. Um, so we had already kind of talked about Rena's transport service and Zach's character pulling the pistol on Rena. How did you feel about basically once you guys walked up and so there's the guy that runs into you guys as a party. He's like, he's looking backwards and he's just full on sprinting. Basically from there until you guys disperse. How did you think that the situation, how you guys as a party handled it?
So it was interesting. So for that confrontation, I kind of purposely took a back seat on it because Sylvaris seemed like he wanted to be lead on that, and I felt that we might have went or thought too hard about it in a sense, because and it's part of Sylvaris' character where he always gets something for doing something,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like there's certain situations like those where we have to just do without any um, prior knowledge of a reward. Because we lost out on information because we took too long to take him away, and we let Rena catch up to us. And then even once Rena caught up to us, and we kept fighting for him instead of trying to come to some sort of compromise or something like that, and started threatening them. So I think we definitely went about it the wrong way, but I think it happened the way it's supposed to happen.
Okay. I will let you know. If you guys would have run off with him, I have no idea what would have happened. Like, if you would have been like, hey, you got him, and you flew him away or something, I would have no idea how to handle that, because I didn't have that planned. If that would have happened, I have no idea what I would have said or done.
But what I'm kind of curious about is, because you swapped Rena and
Nimri.
names now, Nimri.
Uh-huh.
So was Nimri originally supposed to be who he was running from?
No. So where it had him swapped was just where you got employment from. So originally I had it thought up, and it says it in the module as well. Like, you guys stop the pirate who escaped, and then Rena's like, oh, thank you for stopping, this criminal. And then the idea was that you guys hand him over because you stopped the criminal. And then she's like, hey, you did a really good job at stopping the criminal. How would you like a job? It was literally how the conversation was kind of supposed to naturally flow, but it went, hey, you guys stopped him. You can't take him. And then, Savaris pulls the gun out.
Yeah.
Which, so in thinking back, and of course now we're this is almost it's been almost a year since we did that session. It's been a while. I mean, it's been at least, maybe not quite a year, but it's been several months now. And so I've had some time to think about it, and I wish I would have had a little bit better grasp of it. And obviously, hindsight 2020. So the way that the world works in the terms of the law enforcement and how laws are upheld is that there's a police station. There's there's a city police. There's a police station basically, or what's it called? The Operation of Peace and Security is the name of their police station, or what the operation is called for the police there. And that the individual transports and the individual businesses have their security detail, and it kind of works like airport security, or Walmart security, where basically if you're caught stealing from Walmart or you're caught smuggling whatever through the airport, there's police officers that are present, or the individual store will have their own security detail. And that if their security detail apprehends a thief or a vandal or whatever, they'll take them and they will restrain them if it's handcuffs or whatever, and then they'll hold on to them until the police arrive. Right? That's kind of how typically in an ideal world, that's how that would happen. If someone was breaking a law at Walmart, and I mean not one of the Walmart greeters, but they'll have a security detail there. Or I know there's one guy at Home Depot that I go to that he literally, I see him every single time I'm in there, and for 2 years I would see this guy, because we would go I work in construction, so we're in Home Depot all the time, at least once a week, sometimes it's multiple times a day, and so I always see this guy. He's got a beard, he's kind of bald, and he pushes around a cart, and he's got random items in it, or sometimes it's just empty. He just walks around the aisles. I'm like, I see you every time I'm in here. And he I mean, obviously he sees me, as I'm this 6'3", bearded guy who's walking around all the time with the company t-shirt on. And so I eventually learned that he's the guy that he just walks around and he makes sure people aren't stealing things and they're not vandalizing things. That's all he does. He just walks around the store, keeps things in check. And so that's the idea with the security details that the different companies have, is that if they catch a thief
in this example, you guys caught the thief. They would get him and they would hold on to him, and they're like, "Why did you steal from us?" And they like, shake him by the shoulders or whatever, or tell us who you work for. And then they ring up the authorities, and then the police come in, and then they apprehend them, and they book them in jail or whatever. And so I didn't explain that all too well at the time, and it didn't really, it didn't break things. It didn't ruin anything, or my controller keeps
because it did
disconnecting.
Originally come across as if they have dibs and they're gonna do whatever they need to get information first.
Uh-huh.
And then whatever happens after that happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was like one of the regrets that I had, like, and so like I was trying to explain that in the session through Rena, where it was like, I forget exactly what I had her say. It was like, you're not used to our customs, or this is how we do things around here, was like my way of like saying this is how things are handled. And but you guys didn't take that very well. And Ryan's character, Lucian? Yeah, Lucian.
Yeah, Lucian.
He didn't, he didn't think that the guy was gonna live. I was like, oh, this guy's dead, no doubt.
Yeah, this is like one thing I do love about my character, is that while my character has their moments of being a little wild, or what people would say is kind of crazy, doing things others wouldn't do, my character is not stupid and only really does that when they know they can do it. Like, this was a situation where me gloating being an angel wouldn't tip anything in my direction, so I just stood there and just was quiet and let whatever happened happen.
Okay.
While in other situations, like in one of our offshoot stories that we have later, I was in a higher position above this person, so I asserted my angelic will upon them, and it worked out.
Gotcha. Are you talking about the gang leader? Are you talking about that one?
No, I am talking about the side story we had with me and Lucian, where we were on the ship.
Oh, okay. You're talking about episode 0. You're talking about episode 0. Okay. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah. Like before you guys made it to Kularin. You talking about that one?
Was it? I think
like,
it was.
Where you guys were fighting in outer space?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That's like technically like the episode 0 to the series. Nice. Let's see here. So, I already kind of dabbled on the third question a little bit, but was there anything that was going inside of your head, and maybe also maybe Aurora's head during the session, that you didn't express, or something that you wanted to say, but you held in, or maybe you wanted to say something but you didn't get the chance to? Do you remember anything?
I guess honestly in this situation, both mine and Aurora's head would be kind of in the same space of, what are we doing? Because we went straight to guns blazing, guns out immediately. There's not really much back and forth talk. It was just, I'm gonna get my way no matter what. And then we didn't get our way.
Right.
Funny enough. But yeah, it was really too much more to that. It was just because I took a back seat in that moment.
And so now that we've
finished our first campaign arc without spoilers, which I don't think we haven't talked too many spoilers outside of that session there. What's your favorite part about Aurora? Be it just like it could be the species, it could be like a game mechanic where you're like, oh, I pulled off this cool combo. It could be we haven't talked anything about Fenrir yet. Although Fenrir hasn't been highlighted apart from like just that he exists in the world. I don't even think we've like described Fenrir in any of the episodes that I've edited yet. He's just kind of been like, oh yeah, he's there. Or it could be just like the concept of the character. But what's your favorite part?
I'll start with my lovable pal Fenrir. In case we don't have a description for him in the episodes, I'll give one now.
Mm-hmm.
Fenrir is about 6 foot, not standing. 6 foot, like 6'5", not standing, something like that. He's the big boy.
Mm-hmm.
He is a gray loth wolf with golden eyes, and he has chains starting from around his neck that go across his entire body and drag on the ground. That while in combat, when mixed with Aurora, he has the ability to use those chains in combat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you pull off some pack tactics nonsense.
Yeah, so Aurora is, I mean, Fenrir is the strongest of the two. Not really, but it seems like it. He goes crazy in combat. But apart from Fenrir, my favorite part of Aurora, well, honestly, I do love the race being unique, but I just love the dichotomy of wild and tame in one character. And
Okay.
I really love the concept of a very, I wouldn't say cheery, but a more leaning happy-natured person using almost completely dark-sided energy, which is kind of conflicting.
Okay.
So yeah, I like that idea.
Nice. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. You guys, between Aurora and Fenrir, I think you guys racked up the most amount of kills, I think, in the campaign. Just through the crazy combo and the bonuses that you get from just your character stats. I think you had like a plus. You had something like a +5 or +6 in at least a couple of things, and it was just like, oh.
Yeah, I have 2 stats that are 18s, and then the rest I have like 116, and the rest are like 14 or 12. So my
Yeah.
stats I rolled were insane.
Yes, they were. Mm-hmm.
But having Fenrir also is obviously a big boost. But it also helps because I built my character more inclined for combat rather than outside of combat. So I'm glad that proved to hold.
Mm-hmm. I will let you know that there were some encounters that I was like, I had to actively go, okay, the group dynamic is quite powerful, so I'm gonna throw some stuff at you, and I'll let you know there were a couple of fights that when I put them to when I planned, okay, how many enemies are gonna be in this fight, I had it like, I didn't just be like, okay, let me roll and see how many enemies are on there, but I was like, okay, I need to actively think how many enemies can I realistically throw at these guys, and I was like, okay, let me add an extra 4 or 5, and like what I think, and I throw in some more, and I still was like, man, just Aurora and Fenrir are gonna walk through 4 of these easy, and I need something for the other guys to shoot and swing their lightsaber at, you know.
Yeah, I think a good thing you could have done,
Hmm.
which adding more enemies obviously is not bad, but maybe increasing their health pool
Okay.
would have been good too.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of me and Fibber walking up and potentially one-shotting them, maybe it takes us 2 or 3.
Right. Well, that's next campaign arc, and so one of the plans. So YouTube algorithm, see a lot of YouTubers. They talk about what they do with their games, how they run their games, what they do with enemies, NPCs, game mechanics, and so there's just a lot of I watch, apart from like just like pop culture, like movies that are like current and stuff like that. I watch like reviews of them, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll poke fun at this and that, and then it's a lot of TTRPG content as well. So one of them that I recently watched, which is actually a fairly small channel, they talk about how so for an NPC stat block, it gives like their AC, their hit points, what their to hit is, you know, for melee, ranged, what weapons they have, that yada yada, what kind of armor they're wearing. So what he does, what this one YouTuber does, he has it set up where he takes the stat block, like he takes it from like the Dungeon Master Guide or the Player's Handbook. He looks at the stat block, he looks at the AC, he keeps the AC the same, but then where it comes into the optional health, he takes the maximum amount of health. And so
instead of taking the average.
Mm-hmm. And as opposed to taking the average, exactly. So like whatever the maximum amount of health, if they were to roll the dice, because technically all of the stat blocks have like rollable hit points or randomized hit points, or you can take the average.
Yeah.
He just takes the max, and so either he keeps the AC the same or he lowers it. So basically, you're hitting a lot more often, but there's more hit points, but not so many hit points that it's like, okay, I've swung my sword and I've hit this guy like 15 times. He's got to go down. So
down, yeah.
it's not so much, unless if it's like some, you know, demon spawn, whatever, dragon. That's like, okay, yeah, I could see, you know, hitting this guy with 50 arrows, you know, is, you know, not doing the trick. So that's something that I am planning on implementing in the next campaign arc, is where basically where enemies have a lower AC, but they have a lot more hit points. So that way they don't just get one shot or two shot. That it's like, oh yeah, this enemy that's on the field right now, he's going to be here for at least one round, possibly two. Yeah, did you have any other thoughts before I ask my last question? Did you have any other thoughts that you wanted to express? If it was about episode 3, if it was about the campaign at all, if it was just about Star Wars or anything like that?
At this moment, I don't think so. What do you got for me? Okay,
so we've been playing Star Wars 5th edition, SW5E game rules. That's what we've been mostly using. So I've got on my back shelf, I have not the oldest, but an old version of the Star Wars RPG, the revised core rulebook. And there's currently out right now the Fantasy Flight Games Star Wars RPG that uses like narrative dice. So we're using and so then like the book that I have is technically not a revision. Actually, no, I think revision is the right word, of Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 edition. That was like the early like 2000s or something like that. And so what we're using is Star Wars 5th edition, which is like a revise of Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, the 2014 rules. So what are your thoughts on the SW5E rules? Now obviously, I mean, we don't have a whole book, and I'm sure you haven't read through the entire website, as there's so much information in there. You know, I think that some of that stuff gets updated too from time to time. But what are your thoughts on the system, and what would you tell? Yeah, I'll ask that first. What are your thoughts on SW5E?
from a player's perspective?
So I think it's a pretty good system. It keeps most of the rules for standard 5e D&D, but it puts in a Star Wars flair to it. I do think from a class standpoint, or from a like a magic system, quote unquote, standpoint, I think it is a bit lacking in diversity, but I don't think that's the creator's fault. I think that's just because Star Wars isn't super crazy like that. It is a very tame system compared to other forms of media.
Okay.
But other than that, I think it's fairly well. It's very complicated. There's a lot, especially with the like starship systems.
Ooh, yeah.
And certain types of weaponry and the like prerequisites for them, or the like extra status bonuses they give.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get past all the nitty gritty, I think it's a really good system.
Okay. So, fun fact, all of the weapons that you guys have like collected, or like mostly the blasters, the pistols and the rifles and all that stuff, those are all just the base standard, like in D&D equivalent. It's basically like picking up an iron sword. It's like, oh yeah, it's a long sword. And then there's the magical long swords that do extra stuff. So far you guys have all just picked up the base, the long sword, the iron long sword that doesn't have any special properties to them. Until the last weapon that you guys got at the end of the campaign arc, which is a holdout pistol, which is actually a specific holdout pistol that has additional properties to it. So I've got made up right now weapons that are they're unique weapons. So like you got your blaster pistol, and then you got your DL-18, your DL-44. There's the Mersam blaster pistols, and there's and there's like I think there's like another like 10 more that I have for, I think, just pistols. And then there's rifles. There's special rifles as well. There's like rocket launcher, there's grenade launchers. And so beyond just like the standard like just blaster pistol, there's like specific blaster pistols that will deal more damage. They have a chance to break. They have like different properties to them. They have different ammo amounts. So as you continue to shoot, that wasn't something that came up too often in our game, where it was like you guys were having to run out of ammo and like worried about reloading. But yeah, I didn't delve too much into that in this campaign arc, but the next one that we end up playing is going to include those. Is going to start including those weapons.
Lightsabers, though, and the current system that we're basing this off of, lightsabers are fairly regular. I would say I would like to see a change in how lightsabers work, because currently a lightsaber might as well just be equivalent to a regular like vibro weapon, in stat-wise at the very least, in which the lightsaber doesn't necessarily need to be stronger, maybe a die higher, but having effects natural born to them that like a vibro dagger can't do, just to differentiate a bit.
Okay, I gotcha. So there are, like, for example, I've been even today, like even this morning, I was messing around with looking around the different lightsaber forms, like the style of fighting with a lightsaber. And mostly because I got done playing Jedi Survivor, and they have the different forms in there, where they got, your single blade, they got your double blade, your dual blade, and then they added in the
the cross guard stance, and then they added in the blaster stance where you wield the lightsaber in one hand, you have a blaster in your other. So that kind of was like, oh man, I want to go through and look at what the different lightsaber forms, because what you're talking about where it's like, you know, the lightsaber just seems like an upgraded vibro sword. But the thing is that lightsabers have their own fighting form,
which is true.
Which Lucian is not a Guardian class character. His class isn't Guardian. So the Guardian class has access to all of those different fighting forms, or they don't have access to, but like when they hit their level, they get their archetype, they get their subclass, and they can subclass into these other fighting styles, and they get different maneuvers that they can do, they get different abilities that they can do, and so even today I was just going through, I'm like, oh man, that's really cool. And that is something that I want to explore in the next campaign arc, is those lightsaber forms, and the different characters that may end up with a lightsaber would have to they have like there's a standard form that, like, because right now it's just like stand there and I swing the sword. Well, you know, how are you swinging the sword? Are you doing a sweep? Are you doing, so kind of like if you remember in our 3-person campaign that we kind of did for a little bit, that was more focused on the Force.
Yep.
I did we dabbled into that a little bit, where the, like, for instance, that disarming thing that you guys tried to do with Chewbacca, trying to steal the thing from him. So that's part of one of the forms, is a disarming strike or disarming blow or whatever it is, that you can unlock by like leveling up to get that ability. And so I've been trying to do something. I don't know if I'm when I've been typing up and like copy pasting, looking at the rules and seeing how it's all laid out and the different abilities that they have, and like just looking at them all. I feel like I'm almost making a whole, like, a homebrew class, as what I feel like I'm doing at this point. But it's really just like the Guardian thing, but like the Guardian class and the Guardian class is, I think just a partial reskin of the Paladin. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So it yeah. So I'm trying to do something more with the lightsabers, because that's something that's unique to lightsabers, is those lightsaber forms, and I think that is going to help differentiate between a lightsaber and just a vibro sword or a sword.
Yeah. I gotta get one first, though.
Yeah, and so the thing is that, like, in the time period that our game takes place after episode 6, so there aren't too many lightsabers out there. You guys have only come across Lucian's lightsaber that he was able to keep from his childhood, and then you guys came across the lightsaber from the boss at the end of the campaign arc, which I'm not going to spoil too much on, apart from the fact that he has a lightsaber. But
there's one more.
There's a couple out there. From before.
Like 3, yeah.
Well, yeah. So the before times, before I started this Kularan arc.
Kiva was still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's only like a select few individuals that actually have lightsabers, and how they've procured them and how they've, you know, either earned them or made them is usually it's going to be each lightsaber has a unique story to it,
And so during like episode 6, right, and like and a little bit afterwards, there aren't that many lightsabers because the Empire hunted down like after Order 66, and they killed like almost all the Jedis. They like confiscated all the lightsabers, right? And either they were lost, destroyed, or they were, scooped up and then sold for big money. And so, with the minor spoilers, and I guess it'll be a little bit behind the scenes too. And it's going to take a long time to edit all the way to the end of this campaign arc. So spoiling it now ain't too much. But that lightsaber that boss gets, he bought that lightsaber on a deal from a Hutt. And that Hutt made the deal that he had to have that chest implant connected to the lightsaber. And so the lightsabers are pretty rare in this, at least in my version of Star Wars post episode 6, in my version of it, in my headcanon, or just like the storyline that I'm telling through these campaign arcs, is that lightsabers are fairly rare and they don't come up. And if you get your hands on one, like for example, Zach, I think it was Zach I was talking to him about it, and then Ryan was confused with it as well, because he was like, "What do you mean he has a blue lightsaber? He's the bad guy. It should be a red lightsaber." Well, the thing is that the bad guy,
his lightsaber, really.
It's not his lightsaber. He bought it, and he didn't buy it with credits. He bought it on a trade that he had the device implanted in his chest, and it was connected to the lightsaber. And that like it was basically, whatever. I don't even know where the origin of that lightsaber. I don't know who owned it before. I don't have any. There was no ties to the lightsaber apart from that it was a constructed lightsaber, and that the bad guy made I'll say at this point, a pretty bad deal with it.
Yeah.
So, lightsabers are procured, and they are big money. And so that actually came up in this episode where Rena, see everything ties back, Jordan. Everything ties back. So Rena mentioned that when Lucian kicks on his lightsaber and he like waves it around, he's using it as leverage of like, we mean business. She mentions that lightsaber can fetch a pretty high price, and to be careful wielding one of those. And then he tries to like intimidate her with like, they can fetch a high price, and he says like he flicks out his claws or something like that. I'm like, yeah, no, that doesn't threaten her, because at this point there's so many guards that are like right behind her with rifles trained or pistols trained on you guys. But it was like,
well, she just doesn't know to be scared.
Yeah, right. Because I mean, like lightsabers, like obviously they're known about. They haven't like faded into legend or anything like that. But lightsabers, like she does know like the power of one of them and like the damage that they can inflict. Because I mean, she knows that they're expensive. But like she's like, I was like, oh, kid's got a lightsaber. Interesting, kind of deal. And so that was going to be one of the bonuses to you guys if you guys would have signed on with her, as opposed to put her at pistol point. Was like, oh, there's a Jedi that I can hire on. Oh, that's super cool. And she was going to be like super favorable towards you guys because you guys had a Jedi. And that was another thing too that came up throughout the campaign, was that I noticed that in video games as well, whereas like anybody that's wielding a lightsaber that isn't Darth Vader or one of the Inquisitors is just automatically assumed to be a Jedi. Like a person with a lightsaber who knows the Force just instantly gets called a Jedi. Like regardless of if they are a horrible tyrant and the random that sees them with a lightsaber is like, oh, you must be a Jedi. but no, they're the farthest thing from a Jedi. But that's just what automatically gets assumed. I think that, well, that's what in our very first session that we did on board do you remember on the starship, the Eminence?
Yeah.
Where we're fighting the pirates on the Eminence, and he's like, "Oh, you're a Jedi," and then Ryan keeps saying like, "I don't know what that is," or something, or like, "I'm not that," or he says something like that, and it's like he doesn't know, and frankly, he doesn't care what you say you are. He believes you're a Jedi.
Yeah,
He sees you
I think
doing a
it's
thing
kinda
with your
sort of
hands.
The thing where like if we're playing video games online and we see someone playing, they could be playing a female character, we'll call them as if they're a guy, because we kind of just auto assume.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think it's that kind of concept where they just associate Jedi to lightsaber or Jedi to the Force, instead of like, oh, they could be this as well.
Right. And and they're just, sometimes they're just, dumb commoners that are just like buying fruit at the fruit stand.
Yeah, don't really know.
And they don't know any different. Apart from they hear a wacky story about, someone using the Force to move objects with their mind. Or they hear some crazy tale of the Clone Wars. But yeah, so it's interesting, and so this is off the interview questions. What are your thoughts on the homebrew rule that we made for cutting down doors with the lightsabers? You
have
remember?
To remind me. Yeah.
So we had it set up because Jordan kept on, or not Jordan, sorry, you're Jordan. Ryan kept wanting to cut down.
Cheat his way through.
Yeah, he wanted to cheat his way through. He's like, I got a lightsaber, and burst through the door. But I was like, okay, it's a bit too powerful. So we put a game mechanic to it where you guys told me about what they do in Baldur's Gate 3 with the doors. And so where there's like just like wooden doors, and there's like sturdy doors, and then there's like barricaded doors or something. There's 3 tiers. I remember you telling me about.
Yeah. So yeah, because each tier you have to do a certain type of damage or a certain amount of damage to even hurt the door in the first place.
Okay. So I homebrewed it a little bit where the doors had different tiers to them. Gosh.
Yeah.
Doors versus lightsabers. There it is. Doors versus lightsabers. So yeah, sturdy, medium, and greater doors where they had the sturdy was just a regular wooden door, like to your front door basically, or to the door to your room, and then the medium was the blast door, and then the greater was like a force field that went over the door, kind of like basically you see in the Phantom Menace and in the opening scenes where Qui-Gon is cutting through the door and he's taking the lightsaber and he's like making the round hole to go through, and he's cutting through it kind of easily. And then they launch the Nemodians on the ship. They launch the security protocol, and then the blast door comes over top of it, on top of the regular door. And then he's like, Qui-Gon like takes the lightsaber out, and he's like, what happened? And he just stabs through it, and it takes a lot longer. And he doesn't cut all the way through it. It's like it's like it falls off in chunks, and it's not a real pretty hole. And then the force field was like in episode 3, in the opening segment of the movie, when they're on the when they're on General Grievous's ship. I forget what the name of it is now, but the Anakin and Obi-Wan get stopped by a force field in the middle of a hallway. I was like, okay, you can't break through that. or you can't break through it very easily. You need to find another way to deactivate the force field. Because I didn't want it to be like in Jedi Survivor or Fallen Order, where there's literally Cal will come up to a door. You'll run up to a door, and you go to use the force to open it, and it says, "Oh, it's locked from the other side. I need to find a way around." And then you got your huge lightsaber there, and you're like, "I'll take a swing at it, and I'll leave behind a scorch mark." And it's like, it leaves behind the scorch mark because it's like, it's a surface, and so it leaves it on there. And then it's like, all right, I guess I got to find another way around. I can't cut through this thing. I didn't want it to be something like that where it was just like, you can't cut the door down, because that kind of removes some agency. If there was a door that was like, that I had in mind that you guys could cut down to like escape out of a trash compactor, for example, that you guys end up trapped inside of. I didn't want it to be like, oh, cutting down the door is an absolute no-no. That's just not a game rule. I wanted there to be something.
I do hate to cut this short, but I do have something I have to run to before our session starts. So if you have any last questions.
Yeah. If you were to tell someone who's thinking about playing Star Wars 5th Edition for the first time, what would you tell them?
My best advice would be just to play and express what you want, because this is a fantasy. You don't have to limit yourself nearly as much, and you have the ability to express things that you couldn't in real life, and do things you couldn't in real life. So whatever that may be, just do what you want, whether that be you want to be super combat heavy, or you want to be super dialogue or like political or something like that. Just do it. And
Nice.
talk to your DM about whatever it is, so they can incorporate more of that for you.
All right. Cool. Well, thank you for spending the last hour and a half while trying to figure out how to record it. But yeah, I'm gonna do other interviews as the series goes on, and we'll end up wrapping around back to you there, Johan. But I'm gonna try to get through the other guys. Ryan might be a little hard to catch, but Zach, he's always on.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks again, Jordan, for indulging me on doing an interview. This is probably, not gonna lie, this is probably some of the nerdiest stuff that I have ever done with. like, oh yes, let's talk about the fantasy game that I ran. But it's been fun. It's been good to hear your thoughts on how the session went.
Of course.
Okay. Alrighty.
Yes. I'll catch you guys later.
Okay. Yeah, I'll catch you in like probably 5 to 10 minutes for our D&D session.
Yeah.
All right. I gotta go find my controller. I'll hop over here in a little bit, but I think I gotta get something to eat, so I'll catch up with you.